Well, Gopi, it's good to finally be able to meet in person. We've been following each other and communicating on LinkedIn for a couple years now. And I've
Likewise.
had quite an affinity for what Axiado is doing. And for those that don't know, I'm here with Gopi Sirineni, CEO of Axiado, maybe better known for chief evangelist of the 49ers amongst the semiconductor community. So I toggled with whether or not to ask you first about the decision for them to invest so heavily in Brock Purdy and lose other players, but I figured we'd focus on Axiado today. So good to meet in person.
Yeah, thank you, Justin. Likewise, good to meet you in person too.
Absolutely. And, one of my favorite places to start, before you were CEO of Axiado, before you were a leader within the semiconductor and hardware industry, you were an engineer at heart. In that journey, can you tell us the story of the journey from that made you want to become an engineer?
Yeah, so back in India, I grew up in India for 21 years approximately. So I went to a boarding school, and boarding school is like you're away from the family and then stay for longer. That all life pretty much stayed in there. There's a tendency. It's a good school, good teachers, and tendency is a lot of teaching and stuff. And part of that is we're close to a military base. There's a lot of military flights flying over you, and I was intrigued by the technology that how they are communicating, where that goes. Some people might be triggered by saying how they're flying, but for me it was more, hey, where is the point A to point B? So that intrigued me that I learned that in library. Those days are no internet. In the library you got to go to learn, ask teacher. I'm talking about like 13, 14 years of age. Made me that intriguing of say, hey, radio communication, they talk to each other and there's a path, they know, not just line of sight. That made to be technology. I want to be an engineer. And fast forward, I got a master's degree in electrical and communications and exactly on that. Fortunate to find a job in here. This time I was not doing satellite communication, but able to do the Ethernet, wireless, wired, and all that stuff into. It's still communication, but not to the level of that aero communication at this point. So that made me to be, and world gave me an opportunity. This country gave me an opportunity to be part of what I want to do. So I enjoy being an engineer. It's still an engineer today. So
Engineer at heart.
yes.
Can you walk us through for the audience that doesn't know about your history, kind of your history, what's led you up to Axiado at this point?
Yeah, so as I just started from a back in here, so came to US to do the master's, went to University of Arkansas, doubly, great school, a lot of semiconductor work in there too also, and did the thesis in there into the same semiconductor manufacturing side, and got some campus jobs in here, started career at IDT, back in ATM. So it tells me ATM means tells you my age, how old I am. So old ATM days, it was ATM to desktop, the chips we made. I was a designer for that. In a couple of years, I think I got promoted to the manager and then become a director. And one fine day, I was part of the standards committee in IEEE. I met Sahad, who passed away last year, who's the founder of Marvell. So he gave a rain check to join the company, his early startup at the time, Marvell. So one fine day, the IDT decided to let go the team, whole team, shut down the networking division, and made a call to him. I think Thursday something, and then Monday I started with him with a group of people. Worked there for 10 years, and same thing on the Ethernet. We started off doing Ethernet chips. If you look at the Marvell's Yukon family, NIC family, Prestera switches, to CPU, we went and bought a CPU architecture license, built embedded CPUs, which is Armada. So my all growth I had to thank to Marvell to be. It's drinking from the fire hose. Pretty much everything what you learn is today is most of the companies or most of the people do. 50 people do the job, and Marvell that time, the one person does that 50 people. So, but it was good life, good learning, company culture-wise, able to. I kind of follow similar here. We allow people to learn beyond just a job definition, what you have. So that helped us to, from engineering to move into business side. And one fine day, we went to Michael Dell to present something. And my journey into business side is the guy who's supposed to present, the marketing guy, didn't show up. We didn't have cell phones at the time to call the guy where you are. We traveled to Austin, And Whaley, who's co-founder of Marvell, looked at Gopi, you're the lead for the design, right? Why don't you present? It's the first time for me to the stage. So I never thought I want to be the leader, I want to be the marketing and all that stuff to me. I got up and start talking. I'm sure I stumble and because engineering guy, but Michael and everybody in Dell is very technical guys. They start going into details of your chip and stuff. So it was my chip and I architected and built it. So it was too comfortable to talk. And that turned out to be really comes up here, you're going to be the point of contact. That's it. That's the beauty of Marvell. On that spot, she decided that I'll lead that.
Wow.
And that helped us to go further, become a GM. That's all came to. Went and started a couple of companies. The last one we sold to Marvell, which is created a Wi-Fi mesh. So quarter of the team in here is actually followed me from there to here. So we sold the company Wi-Fi mesh to Qualcomm, and I stayed there for almost 8 years or so. Run the Wi-Fi division. All Wi-Fi mesh is actually created by our team. And came out, wanted to do something else, spin out from Qualcomm. That didn't finally worked out completely, but ended up my wife and life was ready for another startup. So choose this one to be able to doing it since it's been 5 years, 5+ I guess. So it wasn't a straight line. We thought we know. This is my fourth startup, part of the fourth startup. Thought I know everything, but it's not. Every time you get the different hurdles, different problems, so ups and downs. But we're in a good stage right now. We got a product ready to sell to the market. Customers are already lined up. We're sampling. We can't support enough customers today. We are doubled the number of people from last 6 months. We got a good VC to be able to come up and help us. So all good right now. We just need to execute and make it happen.
Wow. Well, let's back up a little bit. What was it about that bug, that startup bug that you've had, and what made Axiado the next one where you said, you know what, I'm ready to burn the bridges again?
So it's, as I talked about, last company I sold to Qualcomm. It's almost 80 years, and we're a $1 billion+ business in there. Once you got that level of size, it becomes a bean counting. And more my adrenaline is to create something else. I'm a product guy. I want to think something else. So that's what the spin out we tried to, but whatever the reasons it didn't go through. Even after we got the VC money came in. But here, we see the gap on security side. I've been the compute and networking side both places. I was able to work as an engineer and also able to envision wrote some standards and all that. So we, towards the end of Qualcomm career, are looking at the security side. What can we do and better? Everybody's going to be connected to the world anyway. No longer physical wars going forward. It's all digital war. Somebody can just wipe out a country's financial status completely and digitally. That your bank and everything goes away, and that itself enough to kill it. You don't need a physical attacks to be able to. So those made us to think into, okay, let me see what I can do. The company Axiado, what we thought about it, is doing into a security by hardware. I'm a hardware guy. I need to be able to do. Pretty much the thought process started with a ransomware attack, and say if there is a bad actor came into your system. I'm trying to trivialize what is a ransomware attack. Bad actor come to your system, whatever the way he come in, he takes over your hard disk and asks for money by encrypting it, or he takes over as a super user and asks for money to be paying. That's number one. Even after you pay the money also, system comes back to you, but then there's no guarantee that because he came as a super user, he can clean up everything, and you won't know his brother will come back tomorrow, or he'll trade on a social media to come back to you again. So these are the problem statement in a typical way. We thought we can do it in hardware. So every solution in the market today, if you look at CloudStrike, Snowflake, Palo Alto, everybody, these are called, or Centillion one, these are called XDR services. They're all looking at to protect against the port of entry. Means bad actor coming into your system, they want to be able to stop those. What we looked at even after that also, things are able to still people coming in with all these security companies. There's thousands of security companies in the market. We want to be able to do it close to the hardware and protect, and that's where the Axiado started. So how can you actually protect and real when the thing is happening, okay, while it is happening? So we can go into more details on that too also.
We'll definitely go into detail on some of the advancements that Axiado has made. Can you tell our audience a little bit about how does it feel to leave the comforts of a Qualcomm as a VP of a billion-dollar business and start Axiado?
As I talked about, startup is not for the comfort. There's no way. As I told you, this even though I'm part of the fourth company, you think you already know. It's inside the body, and you have your mental that you want to do something. And it's not comfort. Life never going to be comfortable. That's just simple. My dad told me, my teachers told me that it's never going to be comfortable. You have to be able to. It's more of your calling that you want to do something else again. It was an easy decision, as you said. Qualcomm, I love the company, and I believe they love me too also. Cristiano and everybody, still, we are all close connections. So I want to do something new. It's a risk, but it's a calculated risk to be where you want to do it. And it's more on the solution to be able to figure out and do it. So that's more of what's inside of you. In a human being, there are people who takes risk, and there are people who takes make it better what you have a comfort zone and all that. There are people who just regular daily morning come up and evening I don't want to be part of anymore, which is good. Either way is good. Maybe I'm one of those guys and I want to like the uncomfortable things. So biggest thing in a startup company, you have to be comfortable to be uncomfortable. Simple. And everything is uncertain, everything is not there, and that's the way to live. So living on the edge. Maybe it's an adrenaline it's in me. So
Going in a slightly different direction, but I want to carry on to that. How do you interview for that? How do you find that? Because you're absolutely right. The startups are not for the faint of heart. How do you find the person who's comfortable being uncomfortable?
it's more of when you start talking. That's why I told you, quarter of the team followed me here with the multiple companies. So you have build up. But the beginning, it's all the thought process, right? How much of, I'm not an expert in that. I'm telling you, if I talk to somebody and how much of I talk about it, what I wanted to solve the problem, what it is, versus how much of comforts you have type of thing. That kind of tells you where the person's mentality, and that it's more of a like-minded people. I'm not the only one. Bay Area is beautiful on that side is because you get to dime a dozen of these guys, and if you walk in any cafeteria, you'll see a potential billionaire for the future, potential big trendsetter in the market, sitting down and talking, having a simple lunch. So there's a lot of people. That's a culture of Bay Area more. You talk about Sid or Sanjay and anybody of these guys, they're all same. They're all normal people able to see they want to do something change. In this area, ecosystem makes it better.
Absolutely. Talking about Axiado and your technical advancements, one of the things that I look for in companies that I believe in, because there's over 210 AI hardware accelerator companies out there. But you guys are doing something different. You're focused on security, and as a victim of identity theft myself, that's something that's near and dear to my heart. That's part of making AI responsible, and that's one of the things that keeps me up at night. Tell me about how Axiado's solution is different than anything else on the market.
As I just talked about, when anybody, it's pretty much accepted in the world, cybersecurity is a key thing that need to be addressed and resolved. Trillions of dollars lost, in billions of dollars invested into this company, in these technology for long. What I looked at it is when we started this to be definitely the world is solving with the software, and they're only solving at a port of entry. Every problem addressed differently. They are stopping at a port of entry where the bad actor is coming in. Means there's a Linux kernel need to be protected. Your software need to be protected. Firmware need to be protected. Means make sure that nobody comes into those applications. I'm a hardware guy, so the application layer comes to the next firmware layer comes to a chip level. So can we see at the chip level? End of the day, from application, bad actor comes to, and it has to touch this one. And that's one section. The second one, everybody under the sun today is called mainstream AI. Everybody's going to solve your problem better way on AI. It's great. Definitely this is a big trend. Just like somebody invented a calculator, suddenly you don't need to calculate this thing in the head. They can do. Doesn't mean that the people who can't calculate numbers, whatever 4-digit number by 5-digit multiplication today versus calculator, doesn't mean they are dumb. It's just basically that you don't need to use a mundane job. That become mundane. Same thing, a smartphone came up, and suddenly you're writing an application. This is no longer a phone, it's a computer system with you. Now AI. So all this agentic AI everybody's talking about is an applications you're going to write related to the old side and how to solve this certain problem. So everybody understands building those, how do I make those AI better? How many tokens I can do? How many applications I can do? How many parameters I can do? Those are all great. That increases the platform builder. But once you build out the platform, how do you protect those things? That's where we want to solve the problem. So we came up to be saying, doesn't matter whether it is GPU-based solutions in the market or it's an XPU-based, whether everybody custom builds. How do you protect that system? How do you protect the model? You talked about these AIs, AI training. Everything is great, rosy and peachy if you got everybody trusted. But the problem is these AI engines are nothing but it's a dog. You train good, it's a good dog. If you train bad, it's a bad dog. As simple as that. Means bad actor also has an access to this. So how do I stop those things? So we came up with the underlying technology to be able to do a platform security. The day, minute, second you turn on the power, then we're on. We're the first guys to turn on the system. We start monitoring first ourselves, attest and authenticate ourselves. That means our solution is right, there's nobody tampered us. Then we enable the rest of the hardware pieces on the platform, including the host CPU, GPUs, accelerators. Any NIC card you connected, we basically make sure that all of them are accepted. And then any software you're running at the runtime, any application you're running, thanks to zero trust model. Zero trust is nothing but we don't trust you an application. Every time you run an application, you come back and attest yourself. So if you see the buzzwords outside, zero trust and something called root of trust. And we make it zero trust and root of trust, pure immutable root of trust based, hardware anchored and AI driven. So we make sure that we bring the same accelerator engines what NVIDIA's of the world are using, but on the security, platform security side. Rather than general purpose computing, we use our learning. These are the same neural engines, same transformer models like what everybody's using in the mainstream. But we do it for differences for us is our inferences are different. Our inferences are basically packet patterns, packet engines, packet data, information, all that. To general comparison, how we are able to do in a small thing, our inference size is 1/1,000,000th of a 4K image. Wow. So today, that's why I can do a smallest form factor in here, but I don't need to be using image. Our technology is different. So that's where the value brings up. That's the differentiator value for us. We're unique in the market today. That's the good and bad. Obviously, you're the first of a kind, you're doing it. And good is that nobody's catching up, nobody will do it. And at the same time, bad is you have to convince the people. As a small company, how do you go convince big companies like Microsoft and Google that this is better for him? The biggest hurdle for us is NIH, not invented here. This has been done for long. We have all the solution in the world. Nobody will accept that something is wrong. But it has to technical sales and engineering engagement, show them what it is and show them whatever they invented is actually continues to be expansion of that. So we are on that cusp of the time right now. And that's making us to certainly, NVIDIA opportunity is a greenfield opportunity. It definitely helped us. That's thanks to NVIDIA and Jensen made it a single platform, single card for a startup company to do a million different favors is a killer, but found as almost a single form factor to be able to do. So hardware kind of solves the problem to how do I go to the market, and then the software enablement with these guys, and it's working out well. So we're really on that flux. When do you change out here?
Absolutely. Well, and you've got validation for what you guys are doing. Back Q4 of last year, $60 million in funding.
Yeah, we closed actually 80 million. So there was a little oversubscription, 60 we announced at the time.
Okay.
But more money came in. Total round is $80 million. Yes.
Well, congrats on that. How are you using and how do you plan on using the capital to expand the company, to grow the company?
So as I told you, product is ready, validated, production quality, general availability ready. Now customer base. We need to increase the number of people, number of customers, number of sockets. So number one is sales and marketing, and then also support. Those are first we're building up, and then a lot of engineers to be added, a lot of software stacks need to be done. As I just talked about at the beginning of, we approximately added 30, 40 people in the last 5 months. So since the money coming. So we're going to have another at least 50 more people into the company. We're around close to 150 today. We're expecting to be end of the year by at least close to 200, if not more. Wow. So that's the technology need to be enabled. There's a lot more models need to be built up. Certainly as every customer, there's a little more hand holding because of this is unique security stuff. It takes a time, so we need more people to do it. So we're going wider now, expansion bigger.
Okay. Well, and what we've seen is once you get past that kind of first 100 hurdle, the ability to be protective of culture becomes even more challenging because you move beyond friends and family hiring at that point.
Yeah.
How are you guys going about that?
So, including you, this is going to help us too, including these kind of things. So the talks, presentations, conferences we went through, we are now out of the stealth for a year now, almost. Product is already accepted, a lot of articles we wrote. So it's no longer, I think the friends and family was done 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So more of, right now, expansion market to be able to, we got a bunch of awards to be able to do, people see the value, end customers are doing well too also, so they can see. Just to give you, 3 years ago, to hire a candidate and reach to candidate, it was convincing need to be done. But today, the more people are reaching out to us. There's a bunch of recruiters helping us, but now, a lot more we get the reach out, not we reach out. So that's a good sign. Semi world is doing better, and we are in infrastructure market is growing, accelerator computing is growing, AI market is growing, security is growing. So we're perfectly on that semi, AI-driven security, and you cannot ask for a better company than anybody. Anybody listening to this, if you go to general mainstream AI, you only learn one thing. Okay, you don't get to know what exactly in applications and all that. We get to know every application running it, how to attest and authenticate it. This is for the software guy. Hardware, be able to how do you attest and authenticate every hardware system on the board too also. So there's a lot more wider subject you learn. Security is going to be here forever. I don't think I will solve or Axiado will solve 100% of the problem. We may be only the first Axiado in the market. Wait around for another 12 months, you'll see more Axiados coming up.
Well, that's exciting in and of itself. What is something that is unique about the Axiado culture that somebody may not be able to see from the outside, but you would want them to know?
We're a family-oriented company. I care about just like my family, and I care about my employees here. Simple. And that means, this is a second family for you. Come here we provide a lunch. I got trained at Marvell, culturally same thing. This completely family type experience in here. You see, I want to encourage the team to be able to communicate to each other, we have a pool table, football, etc. I encourage all that is because you should be able to talk to your coworker in a way, if there is something is wrong, you should be able to talk in a critical thinking, critical about him, that whatever he's doing or her doing it, you're able to comfortable enough to tell the bad news. That's the build culture you need to do, rather than everybody stiff and not telling. So we want to work, entertain properly, that everybody's needs in here, career-wise goals to going up, and also work-wise responsibility. It's not just one definition, it's a bigger work than what you just have. That's two. Three, I tell most of the guys in here have been using the same formula too. If you need to drop a kid and pick up a kid, please go ahead and do it. Don't stay here or put everything on your partner, and that will stress you out, and over the time that builds up, and it's bad for me. I want you to go back and take care of that and come back, whether it's men or women, doesn't matter. You need to be able to share your family responsibility, but come back to this family also, to be able to take care. The work does not end at that 5 p.m. Okay, for me, and work also does not start at 8 a.m. Okay, so it doesn't matter, as long as your brain and your soul is able to work. This is our company, not my company or your company. It's our company. That's the culture. You believe in, if the new guy is coming up, a new lady is coming up and want to make a difference in the market, come up and add a value and be part of it. And we do squeeze a little bit everybody, because everybody has to hold up that buying a fancy car or buying a fancy house. But let's run together to get bigger than what you even dreamed of. That's the way the culture.
Wow. Well, rather than buying a single house, the collective group can buy a neighborhood together.
Exactly.
Axiado is focused on security. So part of building a company is not only attracting the right people, but keeping the right people out. What are traits or attributes that you want to filter out?
Yeah, question. I use something to all employees in here, and in all hands. It was literally 2 days ago we had. My statement to everybody is simple. I'll be fighting the first guy who says, "I told you so." Okay. I never wanted somebody to come back and tell me that I told you so. That means you already know, monitored something, but you never speak up or try to correct the problem. You thought it's not yours. Means you're not operating as a family together. So I tell everybody, you find something, able to stand up and able to communicate to each other, bad or good, whatever it is, and able to, if not, and you waited for that to fail and you feel good about saying, why I told you so. I said, you'll be the first guy to be fired. So number one, we keep out. It's not me, it's us. Okay. If that's the culture, if somebody, you should be able to realize if somebody's talking about how big of the guy he did it by himself and all the things like that. Some people communicate badly. Maybe heart is right. So you have to be able to filter out how he's able to communicate what he's saying. He did it versus we did it. But then you can check out the people. So if you talk to the person in an hour, you should be able to tell. 30 minutes, mostly yes. 10 minutes, maybe not.
Yeah.
Okay. So our interview process is tougher. We not only look for you are fit for the technology, we look for a fit for the culture. This is the team culture. You had to lend a hand. Simple. This is our company. If the guy is coming out that way, we're going to do it. Let's go together. If it's a problem, raise up a hand. We're all here to help. It's not the one guy. We're not pointing a finger at somebody. That's the culture to be. I think over the years, I'm able to find, and maybe my skills or people skills in here, leaders in here what I got, they're able to clear fine. I don't think I found any mole yet, or maybe they walked away. So simple thing, and I said this thing. I told my previous bosses also, I'll give you my resignation letter with, an envelope in here. Date is not there, you keep it. The day it doesn't look like, you can sign up and do it. The point I'm trying to make it in here, if a guy comes to me to work in the company or I work for somebody, it has to be mutually respectful. Means the guy joins the company has to be respectful of company, respectful of our vision, where we're going. The day you get up in the morning, shit, I gotta go to work. I think if that happens more often, I think that's something wrong for you and for us. Doesn't matter whose fault it is. It's a time to depart. So every day you have to come up and do it only for the reason that you want to do it. Okay, hey, I got to go do it, not because of Axiado or Gopi or my boss is going to look for me. That's not the point. The point has to be, the day you think about that, if that happened more, that means there's not a good fit. It could be you, it could be us. It doesn't matter. But the day you get up, hey, I got to work to leftover, I got to finish. That's what we wanted. This is what the family. So that most probably that's working.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I'm sure there are things. Most probably it's working.
In discussions like this, oftentimes we focus on successes and home runs, but you've obviously demonstrated a humility in saying that, you think you know everything and you don't, and that's the life of a startup. Is there a particular story that you can tell about a time when you felt defeated, or maybe there was a particular failure that you can attribute to a lesson learned that has helped Axiado grow?
I don't know whether I take anything as a failure. It's just learning. Okay, your failure is nothing but learning. Resistance, mostly what the learn is, invention of 9 out of the 10 companies are not inventing something magically, something. You not find a new gold. Okay, 9 out of the 10 companies are not a new gold. It's more of an how you use an application. How do you use the technology which you got to specific application, tailored product, tailored solution, what you do. Sometimes that's not obvious for everybody. Okay, that's the bigger strength on the startup company you need to do. Whatever you thought about it, you plan for 4 years later, that's going to be. Hardware company takes around 4 or 5 years. So you're looking into 5 years out and say, I'm going to fit in there. At the time, so market need to be there, your product need to be there, your solution need to be good enough to be able to do it. So sometimes in between people can come up, I don't see a value. So that's more than when you talk about learning a lesson. So when you say I don't see you, so learn what's the point we're not solving, rather than you want to present what you are and walk away versus learn. I'll give you an example of Qualcomm. We're at Qualcomm, we talk about mesh. Wi-Fi mesh, when I started, telling up to, I'll give you not the person's name, the company. We go to one of the big service providers. You go and tell them, hey, we're going to make a Wi-Fi mesh. This is for all your customers, going to be the greatest thing in the world going to solve. We're all excited to be. Immediately say, hold on. You're going to tell me that my customer, service provider, is going to buy $400 router from you for me. And then also, this is all new technology. I don't want to do it. One, I know this well. My customer won't pay me more than $40, not 400. The two, service call, one call will kill my ARPU. I'm not going to do this. There was the first pushback. Everybody. I mean, it's obviously for his view, that's right. But instead, let's go into one more details. What is that problem you're saying you get the call? Your problem is Wi-Fi coverage, and your coverage is not there in the backyard, front yard, or one system is taking longer to slow internet, etc. things. You know what? We're solving that problem. Means your ARPU call is not against the new technology, but you have to see that as a solution. So how do you convert his pushback and Heisman hand into a solution? And we did. Fast forward to that particular service provider ships 20 million units a year. Okay, 18 months later. So how do you face those, and how do you convince the problem statement, understand the underlying problem of a customer or a product or a market, then how do you address? That's the beauty of the startup. And you do it within small limitations and within money. I got to go convince my investors I'm going to solve that. He will pay me, and so that you give me money today. Yeah. So that's the challenge. You need to do it. I'm fortunate enough to have enough people in my following so far with me in all the companies, and able to help me to finalize the vision, able to deliver back in Qualcomm. I don't think it would have been that big success without a Qualcomm logo behind me, and me as a startup would have been less successful, not as there. So we're thankful for that too. Sometimes brand matters. Sometimes startup cannot go further out, and you have to be able to use a bigger partner, bigger brother. So it worked out that way. So here also same thing. Whether we ever learned failure was, and back in Marvell, I'll give you an example. We allowed the company cultures. There's always a allowed innovation. Means nothing from exactly, okay, there's a status quo, this is the money, this is the customer, that's a customer, you have to make it, nothing else you can deviate. But there's a 15-20% of the money is being spent on what's next. Okay, so I can give you a simple example in which went nowhere. Okay, we made a printer, which is a mobile printer at the time. I'm talking about 2003, 2004, almost 20 years ago or 22 years ago. You can transfer the image and print that with a, just a print scanner type. Like think about take a paper and you just rolling your printer in your hand like a mouse, and it prints. It was a Mona Lisa print we're trying to transfer, and I don't think the eyes were in the right place. And when we do this properly, because the technology we're trying to do is you take out the hand and put it back again. So it should be able to reconnect. I think more technology is available today because image processing it can do live and do it, but at the time we can do it. But we finally did it, but not the exact perfection. So that didn't go into market. Okay, so it doesn't mean that all successful, but the same way we took the USB drive and put an Ethernet port into it and say, hey, here's the NAS system. And suddenly that word created. Mobile router. So it's all that stuff, what you come out of something out of the box thinking and you can create. Maybe 6 of them fail, but 4 of them pass, that's a great success.
So in general, AI is growing at an exponential rate. Okay. And whether it be security or not, is there a problem that you see on the horizon that maybe others don't see?
The problem, we are in the cybersecurity, so we're going to continue to do this. We are only solving a problem of that, how the platform security turns on. Means I'll make sure that your building is secure, that's infrastructure. The basement is secure. How do I expand this further to everybody? Like how do I go and tell CloudStrike, with me are partially sharing something of what I can do for you, that you'll become better. Means your port of entry security gets better because of our hardware solution. So that's the next step to be able to, as a Pac-Man strategy, what is the next one I can solve? Next is this, everything. We are on a platforms of AI engines at this point. Is every AI is used efficiently? Hardware is used 100%. We get to know all the analytics on the board today, being the main center, that everybody has to come up and ask us, permission to be able to run our test. Can I use that to the next level technology and make sure that all the GPUs are 100% utilized, or XPUs are 100% utilized, nothing is delayed, and all? How do you give a platform efficiency? I think that would be the what next we will do. We'll see in here. We're talking about one blade today, one compute blade. Can I expand to the whole rack? Can I expand to the full data center? Can I expand to all the way to between the data center? So there is a bigger thought process when we started also, yes, we should be able to do. We start realizing already we can do on complete rack for sure today. And these systems will talk to, if our chip is on, our card is on each blade, through the top of the rack switch, we talk to each other. So whole rack management controller we can do right now. So give you a CISO guy, you tell if he powered by us in 100%, he got a lot more security than anything else. So that's an expansion to be, and we get to bump in the wire type of thing we found. We can actually manage the whole fans, liquid cooling also. The 50% of the power used in data centers is actually for the cooling. Okay, we have an algorithm to be able to manage these fans, liquid flows, etc., based on the load what you're running. With that efficiently, if everybody is uniformly working, we can actually save on our simulation base 50% of that 50% of the power.
Wow.
So it's all going to be helping us the cause, a bigger cause, not just a technical security itself.
Very cool. As we start winding down here, if you were talking, what we have found is oftentimes the very best engineers are never looking. They don't have to be looking. And if you were talking to an engineer who was curious, how would you get them excited about Axiado?
So we've been talking to a bunch of schools and stuff like that also. I like to, obviously, I'm old enough to, some of the guys comes to us. It's simple. I tell every kid to think one thing. What are you made of? As I talked about, I characterize into 2 or 3 sections. One is a trailblazer. You go, cut the weed. You don't know where you're going. It could be ditch. There could be something better. You find a big thing or not. You continue to drive. But there's uncertainty. That's the guys are mostly, as I talk about, you'll think outside the box. And you may fall. You get up and you do. You don't give up. That's one. If you're the one, we're a perfect company for that, number one. The next one is people, after the pave, somebody cut the grass properly, but then road can be better, right? So that's kind of pave builders. You build the path builders in there. Are you good at that? Execution. We wanted those now. We need an execution to be taken to the market. If an execution guy come in. Mostly we're not for those, you want to enjoy the life. It's okay, perfectly fine. You're an 8 to 5 guy. Most probably that's not for us. But the other 2, I believe 8 of the 10 guys are like that. Other 2, that you want to make something different in the world. You want to be part of learning. And as I told you, Marvell was the biggest learning point for us. I'll give you some stats on that in a minute. But if you want to learn, to be able to drink from a fire hose type of experience, this is the place. And most of the startups are, okay? They will learn. That's the beauty. If you're especially young, you're coming out of the colleges, and I think find a startup, and you will learn a lot more. You have a time in your life that you can spend in here. Learning is a lot more exponential than any big company that you kind of float around to be able to do. One, people won't give you because you're a new guy, came in. It's a big company. They want to be cautious about it. Versus for me, I don't have a body. I'm going to use your body. Okay, we'll start with the body, but then come up intelligence, right? So we always given same way. So if you want to be part of that, come in. Uncertainty, but you want to learn that one, come in. I'll give you the culture of example, what I told you. Sahad passed away. We had some memorial service recently. And when somebody started calculating this to all of us, there was a good number of people showed up. And then we realized somebody counting that to be able to, there are around 40, 45 people who are the CEOs of the companies, founded companies, and a C-level in the market right now. 40 plus people in this spot. And I'm removed from Marvell, 15 years? And you're talking about in 15 years, we got 45 people. It's like a university. That's what I give attribute to the culture of Whaley and Sahad did it, which is let people do beyond the certain work. Okay, that's the culture I follow here. You're a family, you can learn, you can contribute. If you want to do something, come with us.
That's a perfect segue. I want to ask you whether it be you individually, and I don't think you would answer it like this. So Axiado, 5 years from now, what would you like the legacy of Axiado to be?
So it's a good question. It's exactly what I told my multiple all hands. Somebody asked me, Gopi, where do we want to see our company? And I said, okay, everybody's going to look at the tactical place. You want to be a public company, you want to be acquired for decent money and all that. So we're in a good state right now. We need to be in an awesome state. Means all of you guys, doesn't need to worry about your life and money was number one. That's first question. Second part, what is my personal satisfaction? Just like I told you the case about Marvell, if somebody for 10 years down the road can tell 40 of my employees were the leading industry leaders in the market, that would be the satisfaction for me. That's what I want to see. That's what I want the Axiado legacy to be there. Somebody of what I'm talking about, Marvell, somebody talks about Axiado. That's more satisfying for me, how many companies we can create, how much of an industry can evolve out of this culture. And that's what I look for, or what we look for as an Axiado.
Wow. I can't thank you enough for the time that you've taken, and I can say that whether it be an investor, a customer, or a potential employee for Axiado, your optimism, but also your realism and understanding there are no failures. There's just learning. Yeah. Just aligns with the humbleness that you've expressed throughout. So I'm excited for the next chapter. I know that we'll be talking again in the near future and hearing about what has happened since then. But really appreciate the learnings that you have shared with us and how far Axiado has come.
Thank you for your time, and definitely the coverage what you're doing. And again, this is the world of ecosystem area here. That's a Bay Area, and I'm a big fan of. The day I moved in here to be exactly this one, and fortunately, I am enjoying that life, and I believe that everybody's coming in here to doing the same thing. We love to do this and be part of us, be for the future. Come up and do it. This is amazing time of AI and infrastructure world. Need to be rebuilt, and the whole thing has to change. And you may not be the hardware guy, you could be software, you could be anything in this solution. The technology is going to solve the problem and make our lives easier and more secure. For our path, we want to be secure.
Well, everybody likes to talk about power consumption as responsible AI, but you're doing meaningful work in security and safety for all of us. So really appreciate that, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say go Niners.
Go Niners. Go Warriors too.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.